Harley just dropped a bombshell. The new CEO confirmed a game-changing engine that's nothing like the Milwaukee-Eight. For years, the factory denied it, but now it's official. The next-gen power plant is real, and the whole motorcycle industry is shaken. Dealers are nervous, rivals are scrambling, and every Harley owner just felt their resale value shift overnight. So what did the new boss actually confirm, and why are old-school riders calling it the end of an era? Let's break it down. The ground just moved. Harley-Davidson has done something it rarely does. It changed direction in full view of the world and pretended it was business as usual. Buried inside a recent announcement about the 2025 lineup was a quiet sentence that sent dealers, investors, and longtime riders buzzing. The board had confirmed a leadership change and a shift in engine development priority. That single move touched every bike, every part bin, and every garage that still smells like oil and road dust. For riders who built their pride around Harley steel, it felt like the ground just moved under their boots. The proof is plain. The official release named Artie Starrs as the incoming chief executive and paired that news with an early listing of model adjustments, new touring calibrations, retired trims, and a flag development project labeled Phase Next. It wasn't a rumor. It was in the investor relations document, dated and stamped. Every dealer who read it knew the translation. New management, new blueprint. And when Harley changes its blueprint, the ripples always reach the street. For you, it means resale values, parts availability, and brand direction are all in play. When leadership turns, so do the bikes in your garage. Some riders shrug this off, but old hands know that a single executive decision can change what oil you use, how your exhaust mounts, and how your bike holds value 10 years from now. The headlines made the news, but the real story began when the new boss walked into the Milwaukee boardroom. New boss, new ledger. When Artie Starrs took the chair, he didn't inherit a brand in crisis. He inherited a company with deep scars and loyal owners watching every decision. Harley's corporate heartbeat depends on one thing above all: consistency. Every engine program stretches across multiple model years, supplier contracts, and testing phases. That means a new chief can't simply rip the engine out of the frame and start fresh. He has to manage momentum, not destroy it. That's why timing matters more than slogans. Sources inside the financial release describe Starrs as a platform operator, a leader who builds long runway and seeks clarity over chaos. Translation for riders. He wants predictable parts, steady pricing, and less drama. His early notes to internal teams focused on roadmap alignment rather than marketing language. That's corporate. Speak for making sure every model family fits a long-term parts and power strategy. Old-school riders might roll their eyes at the paperwork, but those memos determine whether a head gasket from 2025 will still fit in 2030. In Harley's past, every leadership shuffle meant cosmetic changes, but Starrs' approach points toward platforms, not paint. The plan isn't to reinvent one motorcycle, it's to ensure every motorcycle can share bloodlines and backbone. It's the difference between panic and planning. For your wallet, that could mean fewer surprise recalls and better supply chain discipline. The more predictable the design, the steadier the parts shelf. Fewer one-off models means fewer service nightmares, but clarity only matters if the bikes themselves measure up. And for riders like you, the question isn't about spreadsheets, it's about standards. If you've ever wrenched a Harley yourself or remember when real torque meant metal, not marketing, hit that like button. Drop a comment with what you're riding now and tell us if this new engine earns your trust or still needs proof. What game-changing must mean riders have heard every promise under the sun. More torque, smoother pull, cooler runs, lighter weight. But to men who have spent decades in the saddle, talk doesn't cut it. The only things that matter are what you feel through your gloves and your boots after 1,000 miles on the road. Revolutionary is meaningless unless it solves the problems that show up after hour 5 on a hot interstate. For riders like Mike Iron Horse Dawson, there are 5 marks that define a true step forward. First, cooler legs in traffic. The ability to idle at a red light in July without cooking your jeans. Second, steady torque that shows up low, not at redline. Third, range you can trust. 200 miles between stops without praying for a gas station. Fourth, service intervals that make sense, longer gaps, fewer shop visits, and finally, ownership cost that doesn't bleed you dry with proprietary nonsense. Those are the real measures, not dyno bragging rights or marketing lines. If Harley's new direction can't deliver on those 5 standards, it won't matter how slick the ads sound. Riders judge truth by the heat on their knees and the pull when the road opens up. So before anyone calls the next engine a revolution, remember the checklist that keeps a rider honest. One engine family already meets most of those marks, and it's not coming from a lab or a press event. You can find it sitting quietly on showroom floors right now. Make the miles easier. Grab the gear and accessories in the description, then hit play. The template you could ride today. If you've ridden the Pan America or the Sportster S, you've already met the foundation of Harley's future, the Revolution Max engine. It's a modern design that lives in multiple frames and wears different faces, yet shares the same heart. One core, many characters. The concept is simple. Build an engine versatile enough to power everything from adventure bikes to street bruisers, then scale it. This modular approach changes how dealers stock parts and how riders maintain them. Instead of chasing rare gaskets or model-specific sensors, service becomes straightforward. For the old-timers who remember rummaging through bins to find a match, this feels like a return to sanity. You can service it, tune it, and even personalize it without calling a corporate hotline. And because each version of the platform uses the same fundamental architecture, Harley can update performance without reinventing the wheel or draining your wallet. Some riders say the new system was hiding in plain sight. While the company spoke about diversification and electrification, it quietly built a core engine that could adapt across nearly every segment. That's not hype, it's strategy. The Revolution Max may look high-tech, but its purpose is old-school reliability dressed in modern engineering. It's lighter, stronger, and designed for long-term production. For riders who prize independence and self-reliance, this modular philosophy is the first move in years that actually makes sense. It doesn't ask you to trade tradition for tech, it gives you both. But Harley's 2025 blueprint doesn't stop at that foundation. The next stage isn't just another engine, it's a direction that could decide how the brand survives the decade. Inside the 117 plan, the 2025 lineup carries a quiet precision that most riders won't notice at first glance. The Milwaukee-Eight 117 sits at the heart of 3 different models, yet each version has its own attitude. Same displacement, different calibration. One tuned for long-haul torque, one for sharp throttle punch, and one for classic touring composure. Harley has finally learned how to give every rider a choice in feel without multiplying part numbers or confusing service bays. Dealers describe this shift as factory-level consistency with rider flavor. It's not about chasing horsepower headlines, it's about reliability and repeatability. For decades, Harley built character through variation. Every carb or map tweak made one bike just a little different from the next. Now the company is doing something subtler, controlling character through calibration instead of chaos. That means one architecture, 3 personalities, and a shared backbone that keeps everything easy to maintain. For the rider, this matters more than marketing. When your throttle response feels crisp in one model and mellow in another, that's calibration doing its job, not random luck from production variants. It's a sign that the engineers finally aligned the mechanical and emotional halves of the Harley experience. It might sound like paperwork, but it means predictable maintenance costs, fewer recall risks, and fewer warranty headaches. A clean design breeds confidence, and confidence keeps riders loyal. But the factory's promise only counts when the pull feels real. Dyno truths, heat, and real miles. The real proof lives on the dyno and in the seat. Early dealer tests show smoother torque curves, fewer heat spikes, and steadier mid-range pull than last year's equivalent engines. The curve doesn't climb violently and drop, it flows. That's what you notice when you roll on throttle mid-corner or pass a semi on the interstate. It's not just about speed, it's about the kind of control that feels natural after 500 miles on a hot day. Riders have spent years complaining about heat soaking their legs in traffic. Harley seems to have listened. The latest calibration trims fuel flow at idle and manages head temperature without choking power. On the road, that means less roast, less vibration, and more comfort. You still feel the heartbeat, but it's tamed enough to make summer rides survivable. Fuel efficiency has ticked up too, though few old-school riders will brag about miles per gallon. What matters is the range. It stretches farther without making the tank look like a suitcase. The numbers may look small on paper, but small improvements add up to longer days and fewer stops. Dealers who've run the dyno sheet say it straight. The pull is real, the curve is cleaner, and the ride feels stronger at half throttle than older bikes did wide open. When a motor feels eager yet calm, that's engineering maturity, not luck. But when you see how clean the stock numbers are, a new question appears. The Crate Lab. That ceiling lives inside the Screamin' Eagle shop, the laboratory where Harley's race-minded engineers play with limits most riders will never reach. The 135 and 131 Crate engines are not marketing toys, they're stress tests in steel and fuel. These monsters show what the production line could do if emissions and warranty laws didn't exist. They're big, hot, and proud of it. But beyond the noise, those engines tell a deeper story about what's possible for factory builds. The real secret is thermal margin, how much heat and pressure a design can handle before it folds. The Crate motors prove that the base casting, oil flow, and crank geometry can take punishment without failing. That means the standard street version inherits bones built for war. You're not buying the race engine, but you're buying the structure it taught them to build. Inside dealer tech rooms, Crate dyno sheets hang like trophies. Mechanics study them not for bragging rights, but to understand where reliability meets insanity. The fueling tricks, valve timing, and oil routing in those big cubes often migrate into next year's production tunes in smaller, cleaner doses. It's how Harley evolves without blowing everything up each model cycle. So when you twist the throttle on a stock 117 and it feels smoother, cooler, and hungrier than last year, remember where that DNA came from. Yet all the power in the world is worthless if the chassis can't hold its line when the road turns. Factory muscle and parts reality. Walk into Harley's manufacturing floors in Wisconsin or Pennsylvania, and you'll see what change really looks like. The lines that once handled simple air-cooled blocks now move with the precision of aerospace plants. Robots work beside veteran machinists, cutting and fitting liquid-cooled casings to tolerances measured in microns. It isn't glamour, it's survival. Repeatability beats rumor every single time. When an engine design matures, it's the factory that proves whether it was built on vision or on hope. Harley's recent investment in machining centers, cooling assembly stations, and electronics integration is the backbone of its credibility. A perfect launch means nothing if production can't keep pace. That's why takt time, the rhythm of output, is now the real benchmark inside the plant. Reliable throughput means fewer defects and fewer gremlins sneaking into the showroom. Dealers have reported that the first runs of the latest models show a dramatic drop in early service claims. Clean builds create cleaner recalls, or none at all. 4. Riders. That translates into fewer days waiting for warranty calls and more days on the road. Harley's retooled factories are the quiet heroes of this comeback. It's not marketing polish keeping the lights on, it's engineering discipline. Every hour, every shift, every weld. But even the strongest production line can stall if leadership wavers. The next move comes not from torque wrenches, but from the boardroom. Command from the boardroom. The hum of the factory is only as steady as the hands guiding it. Since Artie Starrs took the helm, Harley's leadership is focused on one rare trait in modern business: patience. While many corporations chase quarterly headlines, Starrs has pushed for something older and more reliable: conviction. Stable leadership keeps the engine program safe from politics and panic. Internal reports show a boardroom favoring clarity over spectacle, keeping a long runway for each platform to mature. Investors may crave faster growth, but Harley's leadership stays steady, betting on endurance over hype. That patience means predictable parts, lasting value, and echoes the riders who know true machines prove themselves long after the noise fades. If the past decade was about catching up, this next one is about staying consistent. Starr's calm hand gives the company what it's lacked for years: direction that outlasts quarterly turbulence. Even with clear command, there's one more battle ahead, and it won't be fought in a meeting room. Every innovation must pass through laws, regulators, and markets before it reaches your garage. Even a green light needs a legal lane. Law and torque. Across the motorcycle world, laws are tightening like bolts under pressure. Governments from Washington to Brussels are pushing new emission standards, decibel limits, and compliance testing that can make or break an entire lineup. In past decades, Harley tried to sidestep each wave with quick fixes, add-ons, band-aid tunes, or clever exhaust routing, but those tricks don't last anymore. The difference now is that compliance isn't an afterthought. It's built into the engine itself. The latest generation of Harley power plants meets the strictest standards without losing the heart-pounding rhythm that defines them. Engineers work the math backwards, building torque curves that live within the legal envelope, not outside it. This shift preserves what matters most: the deep surge when you roll on throttle and the clean exhaust that keeps your ride inspection-proof. Riders keep their sound and spirit without worrying about getting flagged at a checkpoint or failing a test down the line. Resale value thrives on legality. When a bike meets every code from day one, it stays sellable long after the flash fades. Compliance becomes armor, protecting your machine's worth in a world that's rewriting the rules. But armor doesn't come free. Let the engine carry the load. Harley's new chassis philosophy does something bold. It lets the engine carry more of the bike's structure. This approach trims weight and increases stiffness at the same time. Fewer frame parts mean fewer flex points, and that changes how the motorcycle feels under real load. The first time you lean into a sweeper, you notice it. The bike doesn't twist or wander. It holds the arc clean and steady. Engineers call this stressed member integration. Riders call it confidence. You no longer fight the frame through corners, you ride with it. The weight drops, the handling tightens, and long days feel shorter because you're not wrestling your own machine. It's the kind of progress that old-timers appreciate immediately, even if they can't quote the numbers. For decades, Harley frames wrapped around engines. Now, they're built with them. The result is smoother rides, calmer feedback, and a bike that feels smaller without losing touring comfort. Dealers studying chassis diagrams say it best. The engine becomes the frame, a handshake between heritage and precision, thunder and balance, creating a grand tourer with backbone. Every ounce saved here buys riders more miles before fatigue sets in. Hardware might settle the ride, but what's coming next shows how software decides the rest. The Digital Throttle Era. A Harley throttle used to be a cable, a piece of steel linking your wrist to the carburetor. When you twisted it, you felt resistance, friction, and a kind of raw honesty that no software could match. But today, that steel line has been replaced by sensors, code, and firmware. This isn't the end of control, it's the evolution of it. Ride-by-wire doesn't remove the rider. It refines the conversation between man and machine. Inside the new system lives a map, multiple personalities built into one motorcycle. Rain mode softens response for wet highways. Sport mode tightens the curve and sharpens the bite. Touring mode stretches the throttle for smoother pacing. Each map shapes behavior without killing the soul of the ride. Harley hasn't traded tradition for tablets. It's given riders a choice they never had before. The updates don't stop at delivery either. Over-the-air firmware lifts now tweak throttle response, stability control, and even the dashboard interface. For riders, that means your bike evolves after you buy it. What used to take a shop visit can now happen in your garage overnight. The Monday commuter becomes the Saturday canyon runner without you lifting a wrench. It's not a gimmick. It's a quiet revolution in value, one that blends technology with trust. But decisions like this never land in a vacuum. The rest of the motorcycle world is already scrambling to respond. Rivals on their heels. For years, Europe and Japan treated Harley as the old-timer of the industry, a symbol, not a threat. Harley meant heritage, sound, and culture, not competition. But the Revolution Max and the new Digital Throttle shattered that illusion. Suddenly, side-by-side spec sheets showed Harley holding its own in torque, weight, and even tech integration. The brand that once lagged behind is now setting benchmarks. In Germany, BMW adjusted pricing while Yamaha and Honda retooled cruisers with new ride modes. Even adventure bikes now feel Harley's push as Pan America sales bite into Europe. For riders, it means stronger deals everywhere. Competitors chase Harley-style comfort and Milwaukee-grade torque, proving the old hierarchy is gone. Harley isn't nostalgia anymore. It's momentum. Rival executives might not admit it publicly, but the fear is visible in their updates, their features, and their pricing sheets. Harley's surprise comeback didn't just change perception, it changed the math. But big ideas only matter when the factories can deliver them. If you want straight talk about what's really happening inside Milwaukee's walls, subscribe before the next leak drops. We break stories that dealers whisper about months later. No hype, no fluff, just truth for riders who've lived the miles and earned it. Fueling the future. Harley's future doesn't depend on slogans. It depends on liquidity. Cash flow is the oxygen that keeps engineers employed, machines humming, and new engines reaching the line. Over the last year, Harley renewed several financing partnerships with major American banks and European institutions. These aren't publicity moves, they're survival plays that secure the capital needed to keep R&D alive through uncertain markets. During downturns, when motorcycle sales soften, well-timed financing keeps Harley's innovation alive. Lessons from past overconfidence have reshaped spending. Money now follows production, not promotion. Each dollar funds machining, emission systems, and diagnostics. Liquidity buys engineers, not billboards, ensuring steadier part supply, fewer back orders, and a stronger service network that holds firm when the economy falters. Investment today ensures you'll have a shop, a tech, and a warranty tomorrow. That's the kind of sustainability a veteran rider understands. Steady progress backed by real funding, not buzzwords. But all that investment means little without the people who turn the wrenches and keep those promises. Money buys parts, but hands make bikes. The new wrench. In the carburetor era, every mechanic learned by ear and by feel. They could diagnose a misfire from 10 feet away and rebuild an engine with a beer on the bench. Those days built the Harley legend. But the new machines demand a different kind of skill, one that mixes tradition with technology. Dealers across the country are now training techs to handle liquid cooling systems, onboard diagnostics, and firmware updates with the same confidence their mentors had with jets and shims. A recent dealer memo showed how deep the change runs. Technicians now earn certifications in software calibration, adaptive controls, and digital diagnostics. Grease-stained skill meets laptops and sensors. The shops that adapt will thrive, ensuring riders get first-time fixes, fewer gremlins, and better resale through technicians who keep hardware and software perfectly in sync. The modern Harley garage is no longer just a workshop. It's a hybrid between the mechanics pit and the tech lab. And through all this evolution, money, laws, and training, the question remains: what exactly did the new boss confirm about Harley's next chapter? The living machine. The answer isn't a single quote or a shiny reveal, it's what's already happening in real time. Under new leadership, Harley has moved into its platform era, where every model, part, and system connects to the next like veins in one living machine. Engines, chassis, and software now evolve together, creating predictability without losing the individuality that built the brand. The bikes feel calmer, stronger, and more balanced, yet unmistakably alive. This era isn't about chasing trends, it's about earning trust. Riders don't want miracles. They want consistency. They want to start the engine after a long winter and feel the same pulse they fell in love with decades ago. The Revolution Max and the 117 families are proof that Harley can blend progress with heritage without losing its soul. Predictable service, real pull, and a steadier chassis. That's the modern promise. Every mile you ride is the real test, not the marketing line. The factory can claim victory all it wants, but the truth lives on the road. When the asphalt stretches out and the only sound left is that deep rhythm echoing off your visor, you'll know whether Harley's reinvention is real. Harley's new era is here, stronger, smarter, and louder than anyone expected, but this story's just getting started. What do you think? Is the new engine a revolution or a sellout? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Smash like if you want more breakdowns like this, and subscribe to stay ahead of every major move in the motorcycle world. Because around here, we don't just watch the industry, we ride through it.